Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Carla M. Hope you're doing well tonight. Let's see if anybody else is gonna roll up in here tonight. Um, that's a good question, Carla M. Is there anybody out here? Um, yeah, as you can as you can see, I am I am home now. What's up, Seraphin? Uh, as you can see, I'm home now. I'm back in good old Tennessee. I was in Atlanta for the weekend, and I had a really nice time, an interesting time. What's up, DD Duggan, Susie Pops? I so an interesting thing happened on YouTube today. Um, I Hey, what's up, Eric G? I the last few last week I did a couple of I did a few live streams, and I mostly talked about uh Colton Harris Moore, the Barefoot Bandit. um and This was from about 10 years ago, and I really enjoyed talking about it. I really enjoyed talking about his story. And I Someone in chat let me know that he had a YouTube channel, and I commented on it, uh, and um, I commented on it, and uh, I go to look in my comments, and apparently on one of the videos that I did, one of the live streams that I did, talking about his case, um, he commented, said, "Thank you for the kind words." But now I can't find it. I don't know if he removed the comment or not. Uh, but apparently he watched at least some of it, and based on his comment, he seemed to be somewhat. He seemed to see it as a positive thing. I'm not gonna assume his feelings about it. He based on that one little comment, but coming from him, it was huge, and it was just cool to click on it and see that, and then and now I can't find it in there. It doesn't show up, so I think he might have removed the comment, and that's okay. Uh, but I'm just glad that I didn't offend him in any way. And I did ask him in one of the videos that he posted, because I don't know how to get a hold of him in any way whatsoever. But I did ask him if he would be willing to join me here on panel at some point. So I'm not going to hold my breath for that, but I would really enjoy having a conversation with him and picking his brain a little bit. And I know that you guys would enjoy that too. So yeah, he it was just cool that YouTube is a crazy place, man. Social media is insane, because I remember a time when somebody who uh is either a celebrity or well known for whatever reason, or anything of that nature, uh you wouldn't be able to interact with them nearly as easily as you do now. And it's funny, now I follow certain people on Instagram, and I'll leave a comment on on one of their posts, and they'll comment back, and it's like, wow, that's really cool. um And so yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I get a little starstruck when I get to interact with somebody whose career I find interesting, or even just their existence is interesting for whatever reason, that they have millions of people who know who they are. Um, what's up, Mignon? I'm doing all right. It's good to hear from you. I saw you in Critical Case chat earlier. I really enjoyed that. Uh, she's really good at this, because she was basically saying everything that I've been saying regarding the Gannon stock case, and she's just better at saying it. And she and I mean, she pre-writes it, so I mean, that's, and not to say that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that me, I kind of wing it here. I basically wing it half the time. I don't even know what the hell I'm going to talk about. But but yeah, um she's just very, very much, she's much more articulate than I am, and she was able to say things without letting her temper kind of get in the way, because I get kind of heated up, man, when I think about the Gannon stock thing, and I think about the family and how they're behaving. I still empathize with them in the sense that, okay, well, they've got an 11-year-old child missing, but I agree with Critical K, man. I agree that they should all just stay off social media, man. We saw this happen with the root checks, man. Just stay off social media. Don't even do that to yourself. Don't pay attention to these people. I mean, I was saying this in her chat. There's no logic. There's no logic to me behind theorizing on something that you don't have all the facts on. You cannot theorize how are you supposed to put together a puzzle when you don't have the pieces? You understand what I'm saying? There's no logic there. You can't theorize on something that happened when you don't even know what the hell happened. You have any idea? We don't even know if a crime took place. We have no idea. Could have been an accident. Could have been, who knows? I don't even want to speculate. I don't even want to speculate. It's I just think it's irresponsible to do that. So I'm not going to do it. But and there's a lot of times where, Critical K and I, we don't agree. But one thing we do agree on is when it comes to these cases, a case like this, it's we've got to remember that we have so little to go on. And she said something that I totally agree with, that I've been saying here. I mean, I'm going to go with what law enforcement says. And law enforcement isn't saying anything. Law enforcement they're only keeping us up to date on the search for Gannon, right? But if a crime took place, why don't they know where he is? Why are they searching for him? What we don't, you know what I'm saying? Are they searching for a body? Are they searching for him to be alive? They've been very candid in saying that they believe Gannon to be alive, and there's no reason not to. There's no reason to give up hope on that. So and that could be them just buttering us up. Who knows? But I just don't. I don't think it's healthy to jump to negative conclusions so quickly and so irrationally, because that's exactly what it is to me. It's extremely irrational. It's irrational behavior when you jump on some sort of virtual soapbox and start spitting out theories on a crime that may or may not have taken place. So I can't I, I can't seem to stress that enough, because I talk about this all the time. I talk about this all the time, and yet everyone seems to just do it all the time, and it's not like one person, it's the majority of people who follow these cases. What's up, Breakfast Club fan? uh it's it's a majority of people who follow these cases, uh and I I can't seem to wrap my head around the practicality of that, other than monetization. But see, I have friends, people who I like and respect very much, who are contributing into this, if not having uh, 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 having a heavy role in creating that narrative. And so the logical thing that comes to mind is monetization, but I know people who they don't really care about that. They honestly don't care about that, and they care about putting out the truth. But in their case, they believe in their heart that something has happened, and and I get that. I can't blame someone for believing something. Um, but I don't agree with jumping to the conclusion that something awful has happened when we don't know. Um, I don't think that's good for the family. I don't think it's good for Gannon. I don't think it's good for myself to do that. So I just try to uh I try to stay positive. I try to tell myself that no news is good news. Um, it's all I do right now. Um, yeah, I say a lot. I say a lot, and which which can be argued that they're the equivalent of going duh in between thoughts. But I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, people, and people who pay attention to this channel, and people who watch my live streams. That's They know that about me, and they know that I'm just kind of thinking, as Misery put it here, as a Breakfast Club Misery fan. Geez, you keep changing your name, so I keep getting it mixed up. But as she put it, yeah, I have to think on my feet as I'm doing this, and I'm really hoping to say something that matters when I do, and I don't always. And I oh no, you're good. No, I appreciate you, Breakfast Club fan. But uh it's yeah, it's not so much that it's a difficult thing going live. I used to get so nervous. I still get nervous when I go on sometimes, but I it's not so much feeling nervous now. It uh yeah, it's I mean, I'm clinically ADHD. So uh if I don't keep going on a thought, sometimes I have to try real hard to hang on to that thought, and that's where the comes in, and I'm trying to find the right words, because I don't want to say something wrong here. So you know it's that's what you're getting out of me. You're gonna get some poor grammar, but you're gonna get some poor speaking skills, public speaking skills, but you're gonna get genuine will. You're definitely gonna get the real me, and you're definitely gonna get my thoughts. because that's all I'm doing here pretty much is just thinking out loud, and and it seems to entertain a lot of you. Uh, so that's how it is. Um, so I just having said that, I really appreciate everyone who does log in and pay attention and join me in the chat. I have a really good time doing it. Man, there's a lot of people that came in here. Moebe, Tanny Lynn, Christina is my name. Thank you. Donnie Color, Afraid Not. Yeah. Angelina ATF. Hey, you came on. We spoke in critical case chat. I try to remember people as much as I can. Uh, and and Tanny, I didn't take it as you being rude at all. Sometimes it irks people when you hear the same thing repeated all the time. Like if I said like all the time, which I probably do, and I don't even really notice it, it it can get on your nerves. You know, so I get it. I totally understand. But unfortunately, unless I start pre-writing and monologuing, then that's not going to happen. You're just going to have to live with the ums and uhs. And I don't know what's going on with the whole I was listening to Misery's last live, but it was really, really long. So I did not pay real close attention to the entire thing. So I'm really hoping that that good things come out of that. I'm really hoping that. But yeah, I find YouTube to be a very, very fascinating place where you could just be people just kind of discover each other. People just stumble onto each other. Friendships develop, rivalries develop, but yeah, it's crazy. You just never know who you're going to end up talking to. There was a time when I was familiar with John Crimes. Never in my life would I have thought that we would end up friends at some point. Never in my life. Not that I had anything against him. It's just he was a guy whose YouTube channel I paid attention to from time to time. I liked the videos that he made, and uh, through interacting and paneling with other people, it became very, very it became very easy to end up having a direct interaction with certain people, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun, and being in the chat. I mean, you can't acknowledge every single comment, and you can't acknowledge every single comment, but uh, it's really cool when somebody drops a comment that just really, or you drop a comment that gets that creator's attention, and you're able to talk and interact with them. So I think what's funny is I think this is a form of entertainment that's extremely useful and extremely. I mean, it's kind of a forum. It's when you go live, it reminds me a lot of performing music live in a way, because I mean, in an intimate setting, this is kind of like that intimate setting. People drop comments, you can acknowledge the questions that are asked, and you can and people are interacting with each other, and they're having a really, really nice time. So I'm all for that. But I I'm having issue, and this is a weird thing for me to bring up and talk about, because the glare thing, the glare thing for me has been extremely helpful. It's been an extreme. It's just been a great tool to apply to my everyday decision making. It's been very, very, very helpful. Uh, and even in time, at times enlightening, I can even say. But two of those things are logic and awareness. I try really hard to be self-aware. I try to be really hard. I try really hard to be aware of everything that's going on around me, and to try to understand why things are happening around me, so that I can try to adapt to it, uh, and and kind of accept it and live with it, um, and just deal with it accordingly. And it's very strange that it's very strange because since I try that, I get really, really paranoid. It's really, it's a catch 22, because when someone has when somebody talks highly and talks up self-awareness, and then you turn out to be completely oblivious to yourself on certain issues, that's a scary thought. And I don't want to be. I get really, really worried about being hypocritical. I get really scared of that. I get really self-conscious of that, and I don't want to ever be hypocritical. And I I find it really, really funny, because I don't know. Uh, I don't know if I'm if I'm being honest with myself about everything. So I get really, really weird. I get a really weird feeling of going on here and talking about self-awareness and how important it is. But I guess it's kind of silly to worry about it. Um, it makes sense to try to be aware of it, obviously, to apply self-awareness as best as you can. It makes sense to do that. But to actually be worried about it and have it be something that scares you, um, yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at chat here. Angelina, you're saying, I have news for you, Will. We are all feeling that way. Um, yeah, I take I get really, really annoyed when people are completely oblivious to themselves, and it's obvious when they're talking. Uh, and this is no, I'm not trying to take jabs at Jamie at Limonade, but I was getting really frustrated listening to her talk, and not because she annoys me or anything like that. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to take jabs at her. I think that for her, it took a lot of effort to do what she did, which was to panel up with Nikki and me, um, and to panel up with Misery, and and you know, these conversations like that I would have had with her, conversations that I had with her, the conversation that Misery would have had with her, uh, if she really applied self-awareness, those conversations would have went a lot easier. And I'm just being honest. Like I said, I'm not trying to trash her. Like I said, I think it took a lot for her. I mean, she's not the type to go on there. She even said that at one point on she said, you know, you realize how hard this is for me to come up here and start taking responsibility for things and start taking the blunt of things that happened. I mean, but the fact is, I mean, she did those things. You know, this was the thing that, you know, nobody wanted to talk about because it wasn't. And this is the same thing that I would have told her if I would have had a one-on-one conversation with her. You know, all I kept hearing was, well, this person did this and this person did that and that person did that. But me personally, I could be wrong, but what I saw, I would see her attack someone verbally or attack their channel or parody them, and then that person hitting back. That's what I feel like I saw all the time. And I feel like she wasn't acknowledging this at all. And so I felt like, man, this would be going so much easier if she just if she just like realized what her behavior was like. But I mean, it was all so often and also all the time, you know. I couldn't How could she not know? And I was convinced that I was listening to a person who honestly believes that she was attacked by everyone. Uh, and I could be wrong, but I don't see it that way. Maybe I'm the one who's not self-aware, right? Maybe I'm seeing things the way that I want to see them. You know, maybe it's not fair that, because I have mentioned I've never once clicked on her channel. I have never once listened to one of her live streams. I've never done it, not once. Um, and so all I've heard is bickering back and forth that she did something and then somebody else did it. And I've heard Misery drag her. I've listened to it. I've heard it. Um, but I've never listened to her. And I was under the impression that it was because she had started in on someone. And and then I thought, no, I think I'm right, because she 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 has the mentality of, this is what I can't relate to her for. Mainly, I I take issue with someone who says I take issue with someone who ever says about any other creator or channel, that person has to be stopped, that person has to be shut down. I take issue with that. And I'm very, very vocal about this. This is how strong my feelings are. Um, I absolutely adore this platform, and I love that I can come on here and talk about anything I want, basically. And I like the fact, I'll be completely honest with you. I like the fact that people log on and they enjoy it and they pay attention and they have a nice time in my chat and they like the things that I say. But I also enjoy the fact that there are people out there who hate me, that there are people out there who can't stand me, that there are people out here that are rooting for me to fail. And I enjoy that. I enjoy having that kind of tension. I enjoy having that little bit of tension, that little bit of thing, that little voice in the back of my head that's saying there's somebody out there that hates your fucking guts, Will, and they want to see you go down. I I I enjoy that. Hey, good night, Mignon. So when I hear someone say that person needs to be stopped and their channel needs to be taken away from them, I I enjoy disliking that person because that is that is un-American as far as I'm concerned. And I'm real big on my freedom of speech, man. I love that. I love that I have free will, that I can say anything I want, and it's up to me. I can deal with the consequences. If there's consequences, I can take responsibility for them. I'm okay with getting up here and saying whatever the fuck I want to say, and something be and some sort of reaction happens as a result of it. I'm okay with saying, well, if I say something, then I'm accountable for my words. I feel like everyone is accountable for their words. That's just it. And so when I have that understanding in my mind, the thing that makes sense to me is that everybody just continued to do whatever the fuck they want. Everybody just continued to get on here and say whatever they want. I don't I don't have a lot of respect for I don't have respect for creators who have only their only content is speaking negatively about other people's content. See, I can't do anything with that. I can't relate to that. I can't enjoy it. So eh, when those creators when those creators will say something, will spend their whole thing on dragging someone or making fun of them or talking about how they think that their opinions are wrong. That's one thing. That's fine. But to be on a mission to want to shut them down, and you start doing things to them, you start reporting them, you start fucking with their being here. I think that that's an issue, and I think that's a problem with that person. I don't think the person who's being reported is the person with the problem, because I don't have to listen to it. I don't have to listen to it. I was I was in Kay's chat, right? I was in Kay's chat, and there are things that Kay has said that I'm just like, what the fuck is this lady talking about, dude? This lady, no way. Uh, but then there are other times where I listen to her and I think, man, she's really onto something. We're right now, her and I are so far, as far as I can see, her and I are pretty eye to eye on the Gannon stock situation. And I yeah, I'm I'm having an issue with the way people are handling that case, and the longer time goes by without any news with Gannon, the wilder the stories get, the more frustrated people get, the more irrational their theories get, because they are behaving irrationally, because they are feeling angry, and because they are feeling robbed, and they're feeling uh cheated out of some sort of closure. Hey, what's up, Save Robbie? Love you too, buddy. Um, they feel robbed out of some sort of closure. So they start theorizing, and it comes from this place of wanting to be right and wanting to be the person on the internet who called it, right? And it's coming from that place. It's also coming from a place of just being angry and just being sick and tired of no results. And you mix these things together, and then you're going to get these irrational theories. And these theories are irrational because we don't have all the facts on the case yet. We don't even know if a crime even took place. So it's becoming a very, very, very strange thing. And it's becoming a very tense thing. So when a creator like Critical K goes live and discusses her feelings about this and does it in a very planned out and very careful way, you're going to listen. You're going to pay attention. You're going to be engaged. Uh, and she just recently started going on camera too, which I find kind of cool. She was she was feeling a little weird about it. She was asking her chat like, should I honestly? And I told her in the chat, I was like, it doesn't really make a difference to me because I'm too busy reading the chat for the most part. I'm listening to what she's saying and I'm busy reading the chat when I'm in her chat. And the chat that I should be paying attention to most, I pay the least attention to, which is my own. But uh, it's interesting to me that when you have a creator like this who engages you, um, it just makes sense that someone out there is going to want them shut down, is going to want them to shut up. They don't like to admit. Sometimes they're thinking certain things and they don't like to admit to themselves that they're thinking certain things. And then somebody like Kay will come along and call you out on it and be like, I bet you this is what you're thinking. And it's okay to think this way, you know, because it makes sense. And people will, no, 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 no. And then they'll find everything wrong with this creator, and then they'll start digging into their personal lives, and then they'll start leaving comments under troll accounts and leaving comments basically doxing these people. And what it is, it's an intimidation tactic. It's an intimidation tactic because it's letting someone know, hey, I know this about you. I know who you really are. This person that you really are is very different from this person that you try to uh, emulate here on YouTube. And what's happening right now is I know all about you. I know about your husband. I know about your children. I know about what color your feces was after you ate something last week. You know, these are intimidation tactics, and it's all simply because of fear and jealousy. And that's what it boils down to. So if you're one of these creators, if you consider yourself a creator, this is going to be very, very, very important how I say this. So I got to be careful on how I say it. But if you're trying to shut down a creator, to shut them up, get rid of them because you feel threatened about what they say, then that means that creator is doing exactly that. That creator is creating. And the reason why you have a problem with it is because you lack the ability to create. You lack the ability to get people's minds, get their wheels turning, you know, get that clock ticking. You lack the ability to do that. And it scares the shit out of you. So if you're a creator or a so-called creator that's trying to shut down other creators, you're not a creator. Your solution to someone else's creativity is destruction. You're the opposite of a creator. You're the anti-creator. Think about that. So why wouldn't you just focus on doing something great? Why don't you just focus on writing something or going on here and just talking, but trying to build something up rather than tear it down? I get a more rewarding feeling knowing that I'm trying to build something up. I'm trying to build up people's confidence in themselves. That's what I try to do on this channel. I try to talk about things like tonight, like I'm trying to talk about logic and awareness. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I think that if we can influence each other to think logically and influence each other to be self-aware, well, then that same stupidity and lack of and irrationality that takes place on a mass scale in this community, well, I think logic and rationality can take place too on a mass scale. So so I'm trying to just do my little part and trying to create that little buzz, get that happening, get that moving. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like everybody in this chat for the most part is trying to do the same thing. Oh man, yeah, Robbie, that glitter bomb thing was fucking hilarious. I yeah, I laughed. um, yeah, I I Save Robbie's one of those creators that if you try to shut him down, you're just an asshole. you are you are just an asshole. I don't know if anybody's actually tried to shut Robbie down, but I mean, if you have issue, if you take issue with uh somebody who's just simply trying to make people laugh and puts that much work into it. I mean, just to put all that makeup on and shit for that little, the video was a few minutes. He put a lot of work into that. And uh how can you not appreciate that? How can you not want to promote that? How can you not want to lift that kind of thing up? I totally agree. I totally agree, Breakfast Club. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't, yeah, I don't even hold myself even in remotely the same league as creators like Robbie or Critical K. Um, I just I don't. Um, I mean, uh, and it's and so i- if you have some sort of issue with someone and they're not even talking to you directly, they're not even, they might just happen to be talking about something that they feel really strongly about, and you kind of fall into that. Your behavior falls into that, right? Because right now I'm not really talking about anybody in particular. I'm talking about a few people that I've seen. And most of the time I don't even know who they are because they use troll accounts. So I don't even know who they are. But these are the people that that want to shut you down. These are the people that can't think of anything creative themselves to do. And so they want to they want to tear you down. And that's what's funny. I've never listened to Laura. I've never listened to Life Perplexed. I've seen her on panel on other people's channels, but I've never listened to her channel. Um, and not for any reason. I never really happened to, you know. uh, that's it. But but I it's funny though. I was listening to her on Misery's channel the other day, and she was dropping some truth, man. I will give her that. She was definitely dropping some truth. And I could see why a lot of people like her. I could see why other people dislike her too. Because again, these are people. What I love about these creators for the most part, especially the ones that have haters, right? The creators that I respect that have haters. I just have a natural. I have a natural instinct to root for the underdog. That's just what I do. Uh, I root for the underdog, and to me, the underdog is the creator who's doing anything that they want, and they're following their heart, and they're following their instinct to be creative and to put something out there and put their emotions out there and put their raw honesty out there, and against the odds of people who probably are going to disagree with them, and people that are probably going to be angered by what they're saying and the side that they're on. So I find that to be fascinating to me. That's definitely an underdog to me, because they're like, well, I could just go with the flow and give everybody whatever they want, or I can just say things that I feel like a lot of people are thinking, and I'm just gonna piss in the wind and say it at the risk. And you put your name on the line every time you go live and you start talking like this. Critical K puts her name on the line every single time she goes up there. Misery does too. Uh, and I'm getting the impression that Life Perplex does that as well. I know a lot of people do. I know John does. Um, so uh, I think it's I think it's commendable. I think it's commendable, and I think it's only right to actually support uh, these these creators, because if you have if if you can look past, and this is something I pride myself on. I take pride in the fact that I can listen to a creator and not only not get angry about what they're saying, but sometimes, if I do get kind of angry about what they're saying, I feel really strongly about what they're talking about, but they say something absolutely disagree with. I I love that all it makes me want to do is keep listening. I find it entertaining. I like hearing that other perspective. I don't like people that constantly agree with me. Um, I don't like that at all. Uh, so I when someone really puts out an opinion and an alternative perspective, uh, I think that's really commendable. Um, that's the kind of creator, in my opinion, that should be lifted up, that should be supported. That's the kind of creator, in my opinion, that the last thing you should be doing is trying to shut them down. The last thing you should be doing is trying to quiet them. Um, because I I very much welcome a different perspective. And I like to find myself in a position where I'm like, shit, I did not look at it that way. Um, you know, I don't like to be right about everything, you know? So I like when people can kind of point me in a certain direction. Yeah, criticism's fine. I mean, you didn't see me, at the beginning of this live, somebody gave me constructive criticism about me saying too much. I could have people have given me criticism for saying too much. Like, I do that a lot. And I explained, but I could have easily gotten super self-conscious and freaked out, and then been like, I can't do this anymore. And then let that really, really get to me. but I'm a human being. I have common sense. Common sense dictates that when a lot of people talk naturally and off the top of their heads, they're gonna say and they're gonna think about what they're saying. It's gonna happen. So it's very silly to get to let something like that get the best of you. So it's a compliment to me if I say something, because it's happened to me before where I've said something and then someone got offended by it, and it was somebody who was a big creator, and then I got hundreds of negative comments telling me how wrong I was and how shitty I was. And the thing was is I knew in that particular case I wasn't. And I found it almost empowering to have all these people and look at me and be like, man, you know what, you this and this and this, and say all these terrible things, uh and with the complete wrong idea about me. But I knew myself well enough. I knew why I said what I said. I knew why I did what I did. I knew exactly why, and I've never felt any different. And when all those comments came, I was like, you know what? So be it. So be it. Because at the same time, regardless of if my mind was changed and I felt differently later on after everyone after everyone had pointed it out, regardless of that, you know, I regardless of that, I don't know, man. I don't know. Uh I was okay with I can honestly say that I was okay with with my mind being with my mind being changed on the subject if that were to take place. But no matter what, I'm still accountable for my words and the choices that I made in verbally expressing myself. I'm accountable for that. And I like having that accountability. I don't like having to point my finger at someone and saying, you know, they shouldn't have done this and they shouldn't have done that. If they hadn't done this and that, I would have never done this and that. I don't find anything productive in that. I don't think it gets anywhere. I don't think when I hear people doing that to each other, I just I can't relate to it. I can't relate to people who always have someone else to blame for their issues. And I mean, it's just fact. Everything everything Oh, is my mic still going out? Sorry. Um everything that I everything that happens to me can be traced back to a decision that I made. I'm okay with that. I don't like to be in the habit of going, well, you know, uh, if I hadn't been uh if I hadn't been yelled at so much as a kid, I would have turned out like this. That doesn't mean anything. Here's the thing about that. You know, let's say I was yelled at as a kid, and let's say that that did affect my behavior and how I treat people, right? Well, if I'm aware of the fact that I was yelled at as a kid, and this has caused me to feel angry or rage, and then I either aggressively or passive aggressively behaved a certain way towards others as a result of that. If if I use that as an excuse for my behavior, doesn't logic simply dictate that that since I'm aware of it, I have the power to change my behavior for the better? So there's simply no logic in not taking accountability for it. There's simply no logic in blaming others for your shit. It doesn't make any sense. So if I'm already aware, if I'm already aware of why something happens, then it is up to me at that point. Once I become aware, it's up to me to start taking the steps forward to changing it for the better. It doesn't make sense to sit there and be like, "Oh, well, it's because of that, and that's it." And so, you know what? I'm gonna be a dick. I'm gonna be a dick all the time because I wasn't treated right as a kid. So I'm gonna be a piece of shit. That's my excuse. So that I'm not, yeah. it, it 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 makes absolutely no sense to me to not to not take responsibility. Because I mean, once you're victimized, you don't choose to be victimized at the moment that you're made a victim. When someone commits an offense against you, then yes, and you are the victim of that, then yes, you have been victimized. How you choose to allow that victimization to affect you as a person and your behavior is entirely up to you. So you have the choice. It is now within your control to decide whether you choose to remain a victim or you choose to not be a victim. And you choose to take that power back because that's what happens. See, people, this is a touchy thing. This is a very, very touchy thing because and it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is a very simple thing. It's very simple. When someone is, let's say, and this is hard for me because it's theory, okay? It's just theory. All right. So please understand when I use this as an example. But let's say someone is a rape victim, right? In no way, shape, or form is that their fault. In no way, shape, or form is it the victim's fault that they were raped, right? And and a lot of times that can psychologically traumatize you. Most of the time, 99.9% of the time, it will psychologically traumatize you. And that 0.1% is somebody who's in a fucking coma or something. Um, so you are going to be you're going to be traumatized over it. But how that drama affects you or how that trauma affects you in the long run, you do have control over that. You do have the ability to change that. You have the ability to deal with that trauma should you choose to. Should you choose to put in the work, should you choose to 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 take all the steps necessary in order to manage this trauma that is always going to be there and it's never going to go away. But you can either choose that for that to have the power over you and affect you and how you deal with your life and how you live your life, or you can take control of it. I mean, it's so I do believe that. I believe it with all my heart that we as individuals have the ability to manage our trauma and deal with our trauma and make our trauma something that we become aware of and we learn to control and maybe even allow it to somehow be used towards positive things. We can learn from mistakes. We can educate people with our experiences. We can do these positive things. We can take the trauma that we feel and the anger that we feel from this experience, this horrible experience, and we can apply it to helping someone else who's dealing with it. Um, we can empower ourselves, and I think that that's incredibly an important thing to acknowledge, because I my whole thing is when something terrible happens to me, I don't want it to continue affecting me. It becomes a battle of and I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always like this. I used to very much be one of the type of person that would feel victimized and use it as an excuse to not do better things. I'd use it as an excuse to self-medicate. I'd use it as an excuse to uh to not get close to people. Um Now here, I'm not Sandra, I want to be very clear. I'm not explaining to anyone how to control their trauma, because it's yours. It's your trauma. Uh I know that I can control mine for the most part. Uh I've gotten in the practice of it, and I do it through exercise. Um I do it through going on here and talking with you guys. Uh I do it through listening to music, watching movies. I do it through all kinds of different ways. I use all kinds of different methods to feel more positive. I set goals for myself, small little personal goals. But I'll admit, I'm still really scared to set big goals. I'm afraid of that. I have an issue with that. I have it's not an easy thing to admit to. It's definitely not an easy thing to admit to. But I have fears of failure. Um, if I feel safe, I kind of stick with it, and I get scared of taking that big risk at doing something. Um, but again, I mean, it's only been a year since I started thinking this way. Uh, it's really funny. I started this channel right at the same time as I started doing this, so I thought it would be interesting to kind of document it in a way and just kind of be really open about it. Yeah, soul for music. I'm not denying that at all. Um, and I realize this is a touchy subject for a lot of people. And I don't want you to feel like I'm being insensitive, because I'm truly not, or at least I'm not coming from an insensitive place. I'm really not. Um, but see, that's the thing is you're saying not everybody can do that, but I'm of the belief that if I can do it, anybody can do it. um, you wouldn't believe the kind of person I was 2 years ago. You wouldn't believe it. Um, I mean, I was still I was still good in a lot of ways, but I had a very, very different pattern of thinking, and and it affected me a lot, and it affected people around me. So let me see. I feel failure too. I wake up every night panicking, thinking I didn't pass med school. Yeah, man. Just I can only imagine. I can't even. I can barely even imagine what kind of pressure one would have going to medical school. So crazy that what a coincidence too. It's so crazy that you just mentioned that, Angelina, because there was a kid. There's a kid who's buddies with one of my coworkers, and he was there at my job today, and he was like, I was like, "Hey, so how's everything going? Just making small talk. How's everything going?" And he goes, "Ah, I'm about to flunk out of med school, but you know." And I was like, Jesus, man. So this kid is going to med school. He wants to be a doctor. Uh, but uh he he wanted to be a he wants to be a doctor, but he I think what he was having trouble with, what I overheard him say was the prerequisites, that the prerequisites are like the hardest part. I don't know anything about medical school. I don't know. I don't even know anything about college. But yeah. And no, this I'm not even I'm not even talking about those people, nanny love. Yeah, there's definitely the homeless people who just simply can't relate to anybody and can't function in society. Obviously I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about people that get up every day, go to work, uh, pay their bills, and have kids, and you know uh, and then for some reason have a woe is me attitude about everything. uh I even I try, I I make a conscious effort to not complain, because I don't want to put off that energy. I can't stand people who complain, people who complain all the time. uh I mean, complaining, to me is just, like, people will say, "Oh, well, I'm just venting." Like, that's just a made up word designed to excuse complaining. So people when people just make excuses for their behavior all the time rather than doing something to change it, um, then yeah, I don't. If you if you have the mental capacity to come up with an excuse, you have the mental capacity to come up with a solution. That's what I'm saying. If I had to put everything that I was saying in a nutshell right now, for those of you in chat who think I'm trash talking people who can't function in society. But yeah, I believe that with all my heart. If you have the mental capacity to come up with an excuse for your behavior, then you have the mental capacity to come up with a step forward towards not behaving that way. Well, that's the thing, Nanny Love, is what do we consider mental illness now? Everything's considered a mental illness. Restless leg syndrome is considered a mental illness. You see what I'm saying? Um, so there's an entire society right now that's dependent on on the pharmaceutical industry. Everything has a medication. We need a doctor to diagnose something and prescribe a medication for just about anything. And I'm saying that I don't think that that's necessarily all the time. Now, yes, there's people out there with mental illness, people out there that have real problems, people out there that just cannot seem to put one foot in front of the other for any reason whatsoever. Uh, but you know, I don't think that a medication is necessary for restless leg syndrome. I don't think that a medication is necessary for a child who is hyperactive. Um, I don't believe in that. Uh, I don't believe in medication for ADHD. I don't believe in that. Um, I think that that's a kid's personality, and if you happen to have a kid who has ADHD, um, I don't want to stifle a kid who has ADHD. I want to try to you know get to know what gets this kid thinking and gets this kid doing something creative. So uh the last thing I want to do is stifle them. I want them to I want them to be as vibrant and as brilliant as they can be, because it sucks what happens with ADHD medication 90% of the time is, yeah, it calms the kid down, but it also stifles their creativity, and we'll just never know, and they'll never have the chance to properly express their soul, you know? I mean, I think everyone's got this fire inside them, man. Everyone's got this beautiful fire inside them. And I don't like the idea of keeping that fire at bay. Uh, I think if you're the type of person who behaves eccentrically, yet you found a way to put beauty out into the world, uh, then you should not be s- that you should not be stifled for that. Hey, Fox 5 Love. Right. Yeah, Hartley, I agree with you. Oh, that's awesome, Soul for Music. I love that. I mean, I'm sorry that you're unable to have children, but you found it in your heart to adopt kids and give them a home, and love them as your own. I mean, the world gives us what we need in its own way. It may not be the way that we imagined it. It may not be the way that we asked for it, but when we want something and we deserve it, we get it if we make these things happen. So, you know, I love people who adopt kids. I love people who give these kids homes. Yeah, I agree, Nona 617. Feelings can make us sick. Um, but see, my whole thing, man, is when it's something minor, because like my thing is I struggle with depression, right? But it only becomes severe depression when I really start to let things pile on top of each other. So I even take responsibility for the severity that my depression um takes form. I don't, yeah, you know, my anxiety though, that just happens. I'll just it'll be the weirdest thing. I'll just be standing at work or somewhere and just get, you know, I'll just, yeah, and then I have to sneak around the corner of the building that I work in, and then just like and then sometimes I have to cry uh almost hysterically, and uh and it's for no reason at all. There's nothing in particular on my mind. I just feel just awful. And um and so I I refuse to take medication for it. I feel like if I take medication for it, it beat me, it wins. I can't beat it. I genuinely believe that I have found methods to be happier. Following following my Glera principles have made me genuinely a happier person. Um, and the biggest key to that, I think, has been gratitude and finding things to be grateful for, and finding reasons to be grateful for everything. That's that's just it's I mean, it's easier. It's easier to be happy that way rather than finding reasons to be upset and finding reasons to be angry, finding reasons to complain. I would rather be grateful. I would rather feel gratitude. Um, so I it's just a no-brainer for me. So when I make a conscious effort to be grateful and find things to be grateful for, I I feel happy, and I really, really love that. I love that feeling. Uh, yeah, sorry, I'm just looking at chat here. Um, so, um, yeah, applying these principles have definitely have definitely made me a genuinely happier person. Um, and it's just the funniest thing because um I don't I it doesn't really matter to me if anyone else does it. Hey, what's up, Shannon? It doesn't really matter to me. I mean, it'd be cool, because I honestly think that, like, if I apply this stuff, um and it seems to make sense to somebody else and they see that I'm happier, then they'll think, "Oh, well, I I want to be happy, you know. I want to try to be happy." So but um when I do that, uh and sometimes I'm a dick, man, and I don't mean to be, I wish I wasn't. But I'm a lot less of a dick these days than I used to be. And I still happens, man. People get mad at me. Women get mad at me all the time. I've remained single, like, consciously. I've stayed single, and I don't know what it is, but I can always make the women that are closest to me so mad at me. Uh, and it's something that I've always done. I've always done it. I mean, from my grandmother to my mom to every girlfriend I've ever had, the mother of my children. Uh, I mean, yeah, literally every ex girlfriend, including even my mods, get mad at me. Like, all they all get super mad at me. And I'm just like, there's times where I'm like, I, I don't know what I don't know what to tell you. So I just, I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, see what I'm saying, Sandra. Um, you're saying if this gratitude works for you, that is great. Everyone copes with depression differently. Everyone does cope with depression differently, and I'm not saying there's a right way or a wrong way to cope with it. I'm just sharing the fact that the way that I've chosen to cope with it, you know, into 43 years of being alive on this earth, it took that long to start coping with it in that manner. Seems to be the first time that something actually worked. I used to always struggle with it to the point to where I suffered from it. But uh, I just kind of got tired of feeling that way, um, and consistently all the time. So it's still very new to me. Um, it's still extremely new to me, but uh, it's done nothing but improve things for me. Uh, it's great. Um, Having a job that I like helps with that too. I mean, I have to sacrifice a certain amount of income. Hey, Nikki, sacrifice a certain amount of income to have that job, and by sacrificing income, I have to sacrifice certain luxuries. Uh, but again, I'm happy. You know, I I I would rather uh I would rather work a job that I love that pays me practically nothing than work a job that I hate and I make a lot of money. Because I actually enjoy getting up and getting motivated and going to work. Uh, I love it, and I love all my coworkers, and they seem to like me a lot too. Um, a couple of people hate me, but they're women. I can't do anything about that. I'm fucking cursed with the fact that I'm always gonna make women mad. I don't know what it is, man. Um, Susie Pops, how did my mom get away with paying 2 to 3 thousand per child? I don't know what you're referring to. Yeah, Marie, they're totally, yeah, yeah. It's I just I have a way of getting on people's nerves. I can really, really get under people's skin. Um and I have been guilty of doing it on purpose. But um in their cases, I'm not. So I don't know. I guess, some people just rub other people the wrong way, man. Uh, but yeah, dude. Yeah, Diane in Pennsylvania. I'm telling you, dude. Yeah. My brother used to say, um, when we were kids, my brother used to say that I could drive Christ to sin. Uh, I was awful, man. I was totally awful. I think honestly, I mean, that's the thing is I'm always going to be honest. Uh and and the way that I am here, I believe it, man. I'm like this in real life. I'm like this with people that I know. So a lot of times people don't want my 2 cents, and I'll drop my 2 cents. And you know, a lot of people, yeah, they don't like that, man. Uh, People don't like that. People don't like to hear my opinion when it's not asked for, and that's understandable. Um, but it's funny because sometimes you just hear people say stuff, and you're just like, "Hold on, man. Listen, I got to stop you right there." um, yeah, it was funny. We were having a conversation, um, and I was talking to this young kid at my job, uh, and I was talking to this young kid. He's a really good kid. Uh, he's just, he's brought up a certain way and brought up in a certain part of the country, and that's understandable. Uh, and he's actually a really smart guy. But he said something, and it was really funny. And uh, I think somebody was saying that they go to drag queen shows, um, and I was like, yeah, yeah, I've been to a couple drag queen shows. They're fun, you know. And then this younger guy says, man, I can't, it freaks me out to be around that so much, and it's not that I'm homophobic or anything, it just freaks me out. And I was like, hold on a second. I was like, you realize that what you just said was easily the most homophobic thing I've ever heard anybody say. You literally described homophobia. You um so I was like, yeah, man, that's yeah, you literally described homophobia is what you did. You just said that you being in an environment full of gay people freaked you out and you couldn't do it. um and he started going into the whole, they might touch me, or I get freaked out at the idea of that, and then I'm like, but that's I was like, and then I was just reasoning with the guy because I just don't think that he's actually really thought it through. He's a good, like I say, he's a really good guy. And I just don't think that he really thought it through. But yeah, I mean, like, I've never had the experience of a gay person that was like really like overbearing with hitting on me. They're normally, they respect the fact that I'm straight, uh, just as I would respect the fact that they're gay. It's not a problem. It's not an issue. I'm just not interested. Uh, and I'm the kind of guy that, like, if I was explaining this too. If I'm talking to a woman, uh, and she eventually, shows clearly that she has no interest in me, then I'm going to lose interest because I don't. I mean, just is what it is. Either someone's into you or they're not into you. Uh, but just about every gay person that I've ever met uh understands the fact that I'm straight and respects it, and we get along fine. We get along just fine. So, you know, I was like, yeah, I mean, to assume that they wouldn't respect you for being straight and respect that, that's that's kind of silly, you know. And he was like, yeah, you're probably right, you know. He was really cool about it. So, uh, when it comes to things like that, and I hear people say something like that, I have to speak up. I have to interject. And it probably wasn't the best example, only because again, he didn't take any offense to it. He didn't get upset with me. We ended up having a pretty decent conversation. Um, and he was really receptive to what I was saying. So, uh, yeah. Um, so yeah, I tend to speak up about things that I have strong feelings about, and not everybody uh enjoys that. So what are you gonna do? Yeah, like, and everybody in the chat is having a fantastic time. I love that. Um, wow, took a vow of celibacy. Um, Lufa, that's a bummer. TC Weezer. Watch Irene Lyons. You will love her nervous system dysregulation due to drama. That sounds interesting. Um, that does sound interesting. Yeah, Lufa, I can't argue with you there. Men are fucked up. Um, because sometimes I even do like I'll do like online dating. I'll do like Tinder or Bumble, and I mean, I hear the stuff that women deal with. Uh, I hear the stuff that women deal with on these things a lot. And it's you know, it's so impersonal because it's like an app. You know, uh, it's so impersonal because nobody really knows each other, and it's a lot different than talking to somebody face to face. So I guess men feel comfortable. Um, just saying whatever, and 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 women, yeah, men really just, for the most part, just want to get laid, and I think that's terrible. um it's natural, uh it's in our nature, but you know it's easy for men to forget, that women, they're not just these things to stick your dick in when you need to do that. It's, I don't know. I I actually I don't sleep around much, not nearly as much as I used to. Um and I I yeah, I I just don't, cuz I I realize that I really enjoy sex a lot more when it's with someone that I actually like. Um, and just knowing them for 5 minutes is not the same thing. You like them and the attraction's there, but as soon as it's over, there's this awkward thing because it was just purely animalistic leading up to that point, and it might have been great, but then it's just very strange and awkward afterwards. And I actually I like hanging out with someone, um, you know, because to me, I'm a big fan of having a fun sexual, escapade that lasts for days, but I have to like the person that I'm with, and I have to like, we have to be hanging out, and we have to, I don't want to feel like I can't wait to get away from them, but they were good enough to sleep with, um, but not good enough to sit and watch a movie with or have a meal with. So I don't like feeling like that guy. Um, so yeah, I stopped using women to jerk off. Uh, that shit's not okay. Um, but you know, uh, I still have, I'm a warm-blooded male and I have desires, and but I just, yeah, uh, now I have higher standards, I guess. And yeah, and the kind of women that I would prefer to date are way out of my league anyway, because I don't make any money, and so I don't really get out much. Uh, and you know, but I'm okay with that because now I'm older now, and I don't really care, you know. Um, but it is nice. It is nice once in a while when you meet somebody and uh and you can just have a good time, and like, you don't have to be like in love with somebody to have a great sexual experience and still get along and hang out with each other. um but so uh yeah, you don't have to feel obligated to want to have to marry somebody just because you like hanging out with them. um so I don't, uh yeah, uh, I still have, like I said, I mean, this I was never somebody that was a good guy to date. I was always really emotionally selfish, and I was always really shitty. Um, and I thought just because I didn't yell, uh, you know, um, or say really mean things, that didn't mean that I wasn't cold, and that didn't mean that I wasn't being mean in an underlying way. Uh, and and that was really just because I was a miserable person. But like I said, I'm very new to feeling happy. I'm very new to this. Um, and so yeah, I don't think I'm ready to get really close to anybody just yet until you know. So I'm really working on that. Oh, thanks, Nanny Love. Um, yeah, I love that there's a lot of peace here. People tend to really, really get along here in the chat. Um, and it makes me really happy to see everybody enjoy it and get along. But I'm just not. Yeah, I was never. You know, it's funny. Like uh, I would make jokes. I was always the kind of guy that would like uh that would make fun of the person that I'm with, um, just to make my friends laugh. And that's not cool. Even though, you know, many times I'd be dating somebody who was actually really cool with that and didn't mind, uh, you know, being laughed at and laughed with, because they would laugh too, or they'd fire back at me, and that was always fun. Um, but yeah, I didn't want to be that kind of guy anymore. I don't want to be that kind of guy anymore. And I just, yeah. So if I'm gonna date somebody, I just I want to be the best thing that ever happened to them. Somebody that I'm gonna be with, I want to make sure that I'm the best person. I want to be the best thing that ever happened to them, and I don't want to mess that up. Um, so so I have to just kind of, you know, I still have my own learning to do and growing to do. So, but it's cool to be mature enough to like see that and realize it, and just, there's no rush. I've probably got, if I'm lucky, I've got another good 30 years or so on the planet. So if it happens, it happens. You can't force these things. So You guys are saying really, really sweet things. Thank you. Um, let's see. But you could still play and have fun, Will. You just have to respect. My husband and I goof around all the time. He keeps me laughing. Right. Yeah. That's the thing is overall, like I was just not, yeah, I was never like a really like good boyfriend. I've never made a lot of money. And so, you know, uh, I could never spoil my girl or, you know what I mean? Just do the stuff that you kind of want to do. So if I was gonna if I wasn't able to do that, I should have been able to spoil in an emotional way. And I couldn't do that because I was just a miserable shitbag, uh, and just mad all the time. And yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to be something that somebody has to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be something that somebody looks forward to seeing. Um, I don't I don't want to be somebody that's like fuck. You know, it's terrible. I've been with women like that. You know, uh, like my kid's mom. Man, I don't know what it was. Like we were the worst couple. Like we couldn't stand each other. And yet we just kept coming back to each other. And we couldn't stand each other. Like I she man, like her energy was just draining to me. Um and I couldn't stand it. She would she listened to music really, really loud, and like, the music that she found on her own was, like, music that I couldn't stand, but then she'd, like, hear the music that I'd be listening to, and then she'd, like, take it and make it her own and then ruin that music for me, and then, and then, like, she'd, like, come home blasting it, blaring it with the windows down and everything, and you hear her pull up, and then as soon as I'd hear her pull up, man, I would just that was just how I felt all the time with her. And I don't want to feel that way with anybody. And I don't want to be that person that somebody feels that way about. Uh, so, again, and I just, I have some more growing I want to do. Uh, and, uh, and I'm not, yeah, I'm not gonna risk someone's heart, you know, before I really know how to handle mine. I'm just now learning how to deal with my own emotions. Uh, I can't be responsible for someone else's. I'm not ready for that yet. Oh, that's cool, Breakfast Club fan. Yeah, no, Lufa, yeah, you're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah, and I was really bad at that. At the little things. Uh it's funny, like, and I can be really sentimental, but for some reason, I would get anti-sentimental with certain girlfriends. And I think a lot of it, honestly, and this is gonna blow your mind, I think a lot of the reason that I resented women who felt so strongly about me was because I hated myself so much. So I had no respect for them for having such strong feelings for me. I just didn't respect them for it because I hated myself. You know what I'm saying? How ironic is that? Yeah, man, that's super ironic that I would totally like, yeah, I would basically just treat someone so coldly because I just couldn't respect them for actually liking me because I couldn't stand myself. That's fucking crazy. So, dress skanky and zip the lips, no strings. There you go. I don't know how to dress skanky though. I mean, what's skanky? I don't think, yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of already do. Like, I already wear, I wear black and jeans, black t-shirts and jeans. Well, A. Andrews, yeah, I think a lot of people do too, but it just hit me just now, like thinking about it. This is why I love doing this because you guys catch me thinking straight out loud. I have no uh like I don't think about this stuff before I go on here. I just talk in the midst of the company that I'm keeping at the moment. I don't even know how we got to this subject. I've been talking for almost 2 hours, and here I am talking about what a shitty boyfriend I've always been. Sweet crazy, shut up. You're wild. You're wild. Yeah, I mean, probably, man. Like, that'd be some mind blowing shit, man. Like, I mean, you could be in a relationship like that right now. You could totally be in a relationship like that right now, where some dude is just all really belittling to you all the time. And the reason why he's so belittling to you all the time is simply because he doesn't respect you for going all in and feeling strongly about him. Uh, because that motherfucker can't stand his own sight of his own face in the mirror. Um, yeah, and that's weird. Nanny Love, it's funny that you say that because what's funny is like ever since I started exercising regularly, um that also kind of became a standard for like somebody that I'm going to be in something long term with. Not because we have that in common. I just really respect uh, someone who feels the need to self improve. You know, I respect that a lot. It's something it's I think it's just something that I want to be around. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm like that for myself now, and it's just something that I don't want to stray away from, and I want to make sure that I keep that around. Um, I want somebody who's going to contribute to that when they're around me. Oh, Hartley, yeah. I mean, I would do that. If I like that movie. I hate Rocky Horror Picture Show. I hate that movie so much. People think I'm crazy because I don't like that movie, but it's just, yeah, I can't get into it. I mean, the music, uh, something about musicals. I've never really liked. What's funny is I love music and I love movies, but something about musicals, I don't. It's super strange. Like I'll see I'll see a really deep story happening and like really good acting, and I'm really sucked in, and then they just break into song, and I'm like, Well, that wouldn't happen. And how do they all know? How do they all know the dance steps? And I'll be buying into it, and then they'll just lose me when they break into song, and I can't get into it. But yeah, the I would do that though. I would actually I can say that I've never experienced a Rocky Horror Picture Show showing. Um, I've never done that where everybody dresses up and they throw toast um when they make a toast and all that stuff. I've never done that. So I probably would enjoy it actually now that I think about it. But but like I've seen the movie like at somebody's house and I'm just like, what the fuck are we watching, dude? So I just couldn't get into it. And I like action movies, but I like dramas too. I like comedies. I like all kinds of different movies. Um, I watched Ford versus Ferrari, uh, and I expected it to be all right, but it was fantastic. It was amazing. Um, yeah, easily one of my favorite movies of 2019. I like some documentaries too. Yeah, no, man. Angelina, I'm telling you, you need to watch that. I thought the cinematography was beautiful. You know what's gonna fuck you guys up? Like, I'm not real big into romance movies because I feel like they're almost all the same. You know, I definitely not into rom coms. Um, but uh, my favorite love story on film, my favorite all time love story on film is Brokeback Mountain. Uh, because it's different, you know. It's a very complicated situation. I mean, these guys were like in the 1960s Wyoming. You don't do that there. um so it was really interesting. And the acting was incredible. I mean, if you look at Heath Ledger's role in that and compare it to his role in The Dark Knight as the Joker, uh, this guy was way ahead of his time, and the world lost an artist. Um, but Brokeback Mountain, man, Ang Lee, the director, he has an incredible eye, and the cinematography in that film is just gorgeous, just beautiful. And uh, I felt the same way about Ford versus Ferrari. Ford versus Ferrari had incredible cinematography, um, and so I really, really enjoyed that. Uh, but but yeah, see, Angelina, Brokeback Mountain got a bad rap because uh, supposedly there's just so much graphic gay sex in it, and that's not true. There's one scene that's just kind of I mean, it's a little graphic, I guess. It's yeah, it's but it was realistic, really, I guess. But I mean, it only lasts a minute, you know, it's not long. The rest of the movie is just a great story with really good acting and good dialogue. And it's slow, but it seems to be going at a decent pace considering what's happening. And there's a lot going on. Yeah, Debbie Loving Vapes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I proudly say that, man. I proudly say that Brokeback Mountain is one of my favorite movies. You know, I haven't done that, Lufa. I haven't watched the Alfred Hitchcock shorts. Hitchcock had a great way um of doing horror movies. Like at the time, for the time that those movies were made, I mean, they were great concepts. I mean, Rear Window, that was crazy. That was a great movie. Um, and I've been meaning to watch The Birds again. I haven't seen that since I was a kid, but I like the idea of just Hitchcock doing something crazy where birds are attacking people. I love the idea of that. Um, you know, oh, I don't even know how to say your name. Baxoplacoli. I love that. Um, yeah, you're saying you haven't. Yeah, that might be you. But I know what you mean. I'm like that with TV shows, and or at least I went through that with TV shows for a while. Like I like sitcoms. I don't watch any sitcoms anymore. I think all sitcoms are fucking stupid. So I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I like that because it's it's realistic, and it's genius because it's not scripted. It's all improvised. The lines are all improvised on that show. The story is set, but the lines are improvised, and they do a great job of delivering the stuff. And yeah, Always Sunny. I can't get enough of Always Sunny. I just thinking about that show makes me laugh. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch The Birds, man. Like I have to rewatch that. Um, what's really funny is when I was a kid, when I was a kid, Jack Nicholson's face scared the hell out of me. His evil eyebrows and really sinister smile. And and today he's one of my favorite actors. He became my favorite actor when I was a teenager, when I was like 15. I was like 15 or 16. I just started watching his old movies and I was just like, wow. Uh, but The Shining was definitely uh, one of the scariest movies I ever saw. And when I was a kid, it it, it freaked me out. And um, Carrie, Sissy Spacek in Carrie gave me nightmares. What's up, Nacho friend? Yeah, yeah, Brando too. Um, Brando, uh, Brando changed everything, man. You know, he won an Oscar for playing Jor-El in the first Superman movie. Like, what? Who was like the Harvey Weinstein of his time? Oh yeah, The Exorcist. I laugh. I laugh at The Exorcist, man. I think The Exorcist is hilarious. Uh, but yeah, it's scary for the time that it came out. You can do that, man. You can't. Yeah, you can't. Oh, Alfred Hitchcock. Okay, you can't have little girls pissing on themselves and fucking themselves with crucifixes and shit like that. You can't do that, man. They did that, especially at that time. That was insane. And that just the idea of that happening was so made people so uneasy that that added to the horror. Um, and I, but I just laugh. I laugh at the dialogue. It's so funny to me. It's like Satan talking through this child, man, was just they did a good job. Uh, they did a good job uh, writing that stuff. Do you know what she did? Your cunting daughter? That's always so funny to me. Um, yeah, Eric G, I like the Clockwork Orange, man. What's funny is the thing about Clockwork Orange is the same shit with Stanley Kubrick movies. You know what always happens with Stanley Kubrick movies? Um, Stanley Kubrick, Stanley Kubrick will have the story that totally engages you. Shining is the only one that didn't do that, but I think it was because it was written by Stephen King and the story progressed. But all Stanley Kubrick's movies, man, they totally engage you and it's crazy. And then, like, halfway through the movie, it just drops off and gets boring as shit. Uh, and that happened with Clockwork Orange. I was like, where's this going? And it was intense. And then the second half of the movie was just like, dude, what the fuck am I looking at? Yeah, Carrie's mom was scary, dude. The whole Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club just became that person in the chat. Breakfast Club's that guy. Oh, the book was so much better than the movie. The book was so much better than the movie. I'm just giving you shit. Yeah, man, that's why I don't read because I don't like the movie to get ruined for me, dude. Okay, that's using the old noodle. Okay, but no, I'm just messing around. I was totally, I was totally trolling this one girl. And my buddy was like, she's my buddy's wife, and I was just trolling her. Like face to face too, because she just kept like she was going on one of those rants about reading and movies, how the book's always better, blah 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 blah, blah, right? And so, so I went into this whole thing, and I was telling her that I was like it's stupid to read books, like it's unnecessary because movies, they're just evolved versions of books, man. uh that's instead of having to read and use your imagination, you got the technology to where you actually see it with your own eyes. And so it makes no sense to sit there and spend a week reading a book when I can just watch the book in 2 hours. She was getting so mad because she thought I was serious, and that's how I that's what I thought of books. and she was just so mad because she thought I was insulting her for being smart and reading books. All right, but on on that note, guys, um, I am going to call it. I am having a fantastic time with you guys, but I've been on here for 2 hours, and I am going to yeah, I'm gonna get off here before I end up here for another hour. Um, but you guys are fantastic. Thank you guys so much for being cool here in the chat. As always, you guys are always great. Um, but yo, that girl, what's happening? Um, I need to start doing that too, man. I need to start reading, like listening to audiobooks too. Cause I seriously don't have the patience if I could sit there and read a book right now. Like I can't I can't just sit there and read a book. Like I will lose interest like that. My attention span just cannot do it these days. Uh, it's crazy. I even have trouble listening to podcasts sometimes. But anyway, yeah. All right. So yeah, you guys are great. Thanks, Copper Star, Breakfast Club. You're amazing. Um, and yeah, we will do this again very, very soon. You guys have a fantastic night.